a very lovely introduction. I must also say that you're a very learned person on the subject. In fact, the real core of what I wanted to say, you already said it. So it's a very good beginning for me, So that way, I thank our President, Dr. Natraj Ray, for giving me this opportunity. Also thank Gurvinder, who had actually helped me, our IT person who had helped me to basically get familiarized with the entire thing to do as far as our webinar is concerned. Thank you, Gurvinder. You had come in the forenoon to teach me as to how to go about with the seminar.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Now, let me start. Before I start, let me say that okay, this is a subject that which I hold to my heart. I am not a psychologist. I am not anyway taught or qualified in the subject of anatomy or physiology or neurology. But lots of things that I had come across myself as an entrepreneur, as an employee, etc. And I was forced to go through this because certain incidences in my life had also led me to understand more about this subject. To a large extent, I must say that having known this subject from multiple sources and from my research, I am generally at peace with myself. Otherwise, I'm a very active, at the same time, very responsive, sometimes even reactive a person. So knowing about the subject actually also had helped me. So what I am trying to place before you is some of those things related to my experience, and I hope it will be useful to you. Now, let me go to the first slide. Okay. At the same time, I also must tell all the participants that this is a subject that I used to take about 2.5 hours to essentially complete the lecture, but I am given about an hour and some minutes as far as my presentation is concerned, and thereafter I am supposed to entertain questions from you. So I will go at a little faster pace. So there is, but I am happy that most of the participants in this session are very learned people. You are all, this is fundamentally what you look at is you're all part of a SLE, which is, I call it as self-learning environment. You learn by yourself. I'm only a catalyst in this case. So since you are very adept at the self-learning, I'm sure I can go in a manner, they say the teaching can be done in two different ways. One is called the cat's way. A cat carries the kitten from place A to place B. The second is called the monkey's way. The monkey doesn't carry the litters. The litter has to pile on to the monkey. So I'm just going to do this lecture in the second one. But that doesn't anyway mean that, okay, you're all supposed to pile on. You're just going at a little pace. Okay. So I'm going to the first slide of this. So have a look at this. It says, just in these uncertain times or corona times, are you scared for life and future? Yes, lots of people whom I talk to really do not know what is in store for us because the virus is behaving. In fact, today morning I was reading that 29 people in South Korea who had actually been recovered from the virus, has again caught the virus, and doctors are puzzled as to how they are again being admitted. Somebody says it is inside, somebody says they have got it again. It is estimated that once you form an antibody inside, you will not be having the attack of the virus again. So this is behaving in such weird a fashion that most of us are really uncertain as to how it is going to behave and what is the annihilation it is going to do. So there is a level of fear and there's a lot of uncertainty for every one of us actually. Now, coming out of that at the corona scene and saying that lots of us must have undergone a lot of emotional upheaval in our life or career. Many things. I'm just for you to just recollect and see what are all the upheavals that you have undergone in your life. The third point, have you ever lent a helping hand to a person during his emotional distress? Most of us must have done. You must have some broad shoulders to give to the person who is actually having some trouble or distress, and then must have soothed him to get out of the situation. This point is something very important because in India it is normally said that they say, there's an advertisement which says, "Ladke rote nahi hai." That is, "Ladke roti hai, ladke nahi rote hai." So we said that, okay, men doesn't cry. So most of my participants could be men. So the question is on to you men, do you cry? Do you find it easy to cry? Okay. And next point that I would like to essentially explore with you is that, does your ego allow you to seek emotional assistance? Many often that I had seen people undergoing the pain and the agony themselves, but not telling others. There was a classical scenario wherein one of the very famous movie artists called Deepika Padukone. She came out in the open telling that I am undergoing depression in life. Okay. And that depression essentially was a physical or physiological depression. But she had the guts to come out and say, but many people, when they undergo emotional problems, particularly negative emotional problems, depression, anger, rage, etc., or jealousy, and many things, they don't come out to open tell that I have this. And now the last point, which is what Dr. Joshi had said, it is called emotional intelligence or emotional quotient. I may actually synonymously use these words in a manner that one means the other. Emotional quotient. Quotient is a ratio, otherwise intelligence. So it is actually emotional quotient is your emotional age divided by your physical age into 100. That is actually the emotional quotient. But I may use the emotional quotient, otherwise called as EQ and IQ intermittently. So now, since I said about IQ, emotional quotient or the emotional intelligence, we must definitely search for a good definition for intelligence. That is what you see on the screen. It is actually an aggregate capacity of an individual to act with a purpose, to think objectively and rationally, and to deal effectively with his environment. Particularly the third one, dealing effectively with the environment, is something many of us are very poor at, and that leads us to a lot of problems both internally and externally. Now, therefore, this intelligence or this Dr. David Webster's definition of this intelligence is not typically saying that it is IQ. And I will define IQ a little later, but all of us are aware, in fact, all of us are aware, and also Dr. Joshi had mentioned that IQ is the only intelligence. Lots of us are worried because we want our children to score 100 out of 100 in mathematics, in science, in everything. And we are not much worried about the emotional quotient. So we will come to that later. But this definition definitely stands a good one as somebody who acts with a purpose, somebody who thinks objectively, and somebody who does deal effectively with this. So it is not only cognitive, this intelligence also can be non-cognitive. Okay. Now, this is a person that Dr. Joshi had been referring to. His name is Howard Gardner. He must be plus 70 plus. He still sits on the chair at Harvard Graduate School of Education. And he had over a longitudinal research of 40 years arrived at this, and this is a book that he had said, the frame of reference, a book on multiple intelligence. He said there are 9 intelligences in us. And in this, what you see on the screen, the third one, logical intelligence or mathematical intelligence, is what we call as IQ, and that is what lots of us are worried about. Okay, but he says there is a visual intelligence that is about space-oriented spatial intelligence. There's a verbal intelligence that is about linguistic intelligence. These are people who are very good at the language. They can be very good at language. They're good at elocution, good at oration, good at negotiation, etc. Then logical, I have already said, all of us are aware of the IQ. Kinesthetic is called bodily intelligence. So when you see a wonderful dance by Sonal Mansingh or Mallika Sarabhai, or when somebody, when our Sunil Chetri scores a wonderful score, wonderful goal, or Sachin Tendulkar, though he is ambidextrous, hits a 6, or lately we can say that about Rohit Sharma as well as our Captain Kohli or Captain King, he is called as. They are actually expressing their intelligence through their body. It's called bodily intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence. Then there is music. We always thought music as a talent, but Howard Gardner says music is an intelligence, because if you are musically oriented, you will be able to get to so many vocations related to that. Then there are 2 other intelligences. That is what is the subjects today: interpersonal and intrapersonal intelligence. These are all called social intelligences. Okay, interpersonal is interpersonally between people. Okay, intra is within yourself. Okay, now these 2 are essentially called as social intelligence. I'll deal with a little detail later. And then later to the research, he had added 2 more, which is called natural intelligence, that is environmental intelligence. You know, you see that in the school, you'll see those boys and girls who run after the dragonfly, who smells the flowers, who feels very awed by seeing the full moon, etc., and saying, wonderful. They're all people bestowed with a lot of natural intelligence. And the last is existential intelligence, which is otherwise called philosophical intelligence. These are people who have this dominant intelligence. They will be able to connect everything to the bigger picture. Okay, so the seers and the sages and the orators and the evangelists that you come across are those people who have a large dose of existential intelligence or philosophical intelligence. Now, please understand, all these 9 intelligences are not equally distributed within us. Okay, there could be, what I generally, as my research says, that okay, there will be 3 dominant intelligences, three dormant intelligences and some other three in between. So you may have dominant intelligences, you may have dormant intelligence. So some people may be very, very poor in natural or existential or musical. Some people may be very, very good in visual, verbal, or interpersonal. So this intelligence orientation in people are different. So it is not 1/9 of the intelligence equally distributed. No, prominent and dominant intelligences are there and dormant intelligences are there. I'm not going to deeper into that. Maybe another occasion I'll come to take a class on session on multiple intelligence. A wonderful topic that we need to deal with, particularly in the creation of youngsters, our millennials and the generation Z that we come across. We really need to learn a lot about multiple intelligence to deal with them and handle them. I leave it at that as far as multiple intelligence is concerned. I come to the definition of emotional intelligence. So as I've told you, it's a social intelligence. That means it is both inter and intrapersonal intelligence combined together. It is all about your ability to monitor your feelings and emotions and others' feelings and emotions. And you discriminate them, you differentiate between them. And that data that you received, okay, use the data to guide your thinking and action. As Dr. Joshi has mentioned, this is originally started by Salovey and Nair in 1990 and later on carried forward by our journalist who had written the book Emotional Intelligence. He was a New York Times journalist, and his name has been taken up by Dr. Joshi. So this is the definition. So fundamentally, social intelligence, and that gives you the ability to understand your feelings and emotion, gives you the ability to understand others' feelings and emotions, find out the differentiation between them, and use the data to deal with them and deal with the situation. So that is actually a definition of emotional intelligence. There are emotions and emotions and emotions. The happiness is an emotion, excitement is an emotion, compassion is an emotion, depression is an emotion, frustration is an emotion. But the positive emotions are fine with us. All of us are very, 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 very happy to see people positively oriented. The challenge in life, the challenge in interpersonal relationship, the challenge in the society is that we come across people who are very negatively oriented or who has this feelings and emotions that they display are negative in nature. In this itself, we will see anger, rage, jealousy, frustration, sadness, okay, and depression, etc. These are all typical examples of negative emotions. And really speaking, and I'll ask you this question. I think we'll come to the Q&A later, but just to understand the situation. How many of us will want to deal with a very angry person? How many of us will want to deal with a person in rage? How many of us will want to deal with a very depressed person? Definitely, most of you will say, no, I don't want to go by that. But the fact is there. But what we need to understand that all of us do undergo this frustration, jealousy, rage. So it is something which you have to really deal with. That it is something that you have to understand. It is something that you have to take it in and accept, so that your behavior, your personality, you're dealing with the society, and dealing with the environment effectively will happen. Going forward, now I'm just giving you a set of a situation here. So extreme level of emotions, particularly those negative ones, when the rage and frustration, etc., happen, okay, it comes to the head, and that results in very spontaneous and irrational decisions, okay, and those actions which happens after that. And many times you would have seen that it messes up one's life. In a friendship, you are sitting in a circle, suddenly a word came out of your mouth, and it was such a bad, it must have been expletive. The receiver of that didn't like it, and the group shunned you out. It must have happened. Suddenly, you must have lost a lot of friendship. Suddenly, you're not part of a very cool group because of irrational decision or irrational behavior or irrational action. So, no, we will come to that as to how we get out of that. The fact is, I'm just trying to relate a situation. How does extreme emotions play, particularly negative emotions, play so badly? So what happens? Negative emotions most of the time produces negative words and deeds, which dearly affects interpersonal relationship and social fabrics. Okay, all of us are aware, because that microsecond, that millisecond, we don't know how the actions are going to come out. Okay, and then it completely messes up the situation, messes up relation. Yeah. I don't know. I lost the screen here, so I may have to see how do I come back.
So
Zoom.
share your screen. I think there was an issue with the internet. So
Okay. I can go. I can go verbally, but I don't know
uh,
how to manage my screen. Therefore, actually, that's the issue.
maybe like you can see like an option to share screen below,
Option to share screen. Let me see. Yes, sir. I have got it. Yeah. I will
and
have to
then
go
select
back.
the PPT.
Yeah. I have done that. Yes. And then so it's an internet brag. Okay. The screen is there in front of you. Gurvinder, please help
Yes,
me.
sir. Yes,
You're
sir.
right. Thank you very much, Gurvinder. Thank you. God bless. Okay. Going forward. So what happens? What happens? So we earlier we used to use this word called control. Negative emotions need to be controlled, people will say. But control is again a negative word by itself. Nobody likes to be controlled. But so that we say we need to manage these emotions. We need to manage our negative emotions. Most of the time, instead of managing the negative emotions, we suppress them. See, it's like this, you know. I have given you the example in the beginning that आदमी रोते नहीं है औरतें रोती हैं लड़के रोते नहीं है लड़कियां रोती है so you are living with a sort of a value system like that in your house. Okay, suddenly you are crying and somebody started seeing you and you swallow that cry. You don't want to show your emotion, so what did you do? You swallowed that emotion. Okay, or you were doing or you were actually playing pranks with somebody, your father passed away, so you did not want to express, you swallowed that emotion. So there are many instances. Okay, instead of expressing the emotion, we suppress the emotion. So what happens to suppressed emotions in the later part of your life? It will manifest in the form of, you know, asthma, palpitation, blood pressure, ulcer, migraine, so many things. No, this is not, I am saying this is what I had read a lot. See, lots of diseases, including asthma, we call it a psychosomatic. Okay, so something, migraine, for instance, you know, you go and talk to a very specialist on migraine. It's a headache. You have this for days together, then you find life vegetabilized, then you puke out and it goes and it reappears again. And you must have, I'm sure some of you among this may have been a victim of migraine. And so you must have seen your relatives or friends or kith or kin undergoing the migraine. Now, you talk to a doctor, he may be able to give a scientific explanation of the migraine, but in most of the time he says, sir, ye hota hai, it happens, you know. And how does it happen? So our social scientists say that most of the time what you suppressed in your time, and that is what is manifesting in migraines and asthmas and those psychosomatic diseases, and that is, and including those mental aberrations. So if you don't want this to play up at a later part of your life, you need to express your emotions. I am coming into that later. Okay. So what is the symptoms of low emotional quotient or low emotional intelligence? Okay. People who with low EQ are worried people, very anxious people, confused people. They do not know their priorities. Very time pressured people, not efficient in their work. They perform very poorly in their work. Always looking tired and fatigued and very frustrated people. They look like frustrated people. Okay. They have very poor work-life balance. You know, they fight at home, they fight at the office, they carry the home fight to the office, they carry the office fight to the home, and they mess up not only their life, their family's life. Their children doesn't look forward to seeing them when you come back from the office. Okay, or your spouse does not want to talk to you because she or he doesn't know what mood that you are in. So you have a real problem because of your emotion. You have a work-life balance problem. Okay, these are people who have very high blood pressure. It's not a good thing. Blood pressure, if it is not treated properly, can result in early removal from the planet Earth. And also these are people who age more quickly and faster. So these are the symptoms of low EQ. And this by itself is very bad. We need to get out of this and we need to show the positivity and live better, not fatigued, and live and perform better in our work and in our social life. So what do we do therefore? To manage our emotion, we should be first aware of our dominant emotion and accept as them as part of it. Many people, when I take these classes, say, oh no, मैं तो गुस्सा नहीं होता हूँ जी. I don't get angry. Or somebody says, I just cannot get angry. I just handle emotions. And I ask the question again, do you get emotional? Why are you getting angry? And the third instance, I had seen these people exploding. The fact of the matter is that in many of us, we have fast reactive emotions, predominantly in the negative side. But if we accept, if I don't accept that I get irritated faster, if I don't accept that I get depressed faster, if I don't accept that I will get jealous faster, if I don't accept I rage comes to me in microseconds, if I don't accept me, then there is a challenge. The first question therefore, is to accept that you have these emotions. Please don't be on a denial. The moment you're denying, you're actually giving yourself an opportunity. You're not giving yourself an opportunity to get cured and to get into the positivity. So accepting your emotions, particularly your dominant negative emotion, as part of you is the first level that gives you the confidence of that. So accepting your dominant emotions is the very first part of dealing with your emotions actually. As you see, emotion is thinking and feeling. We say head and heart. That's what we say. Though physically we understand heart is a pump which actually pumps the blood, which carries the oxygen and the rest of the things around the body. But in literature, in our writing, in Shakespeare, everywhere we say heart is what actually our emotions are. Head is what our thinking are. So the emotion, this is essentially by EQ is high EQ means you're a balanced thinking and balanced feeling. That is what it is that you see on the screen. So this you look at the screen. This is what I picked up from the American Psychiatry Association. There are about 9-10 situations explained in that. Your inability to concentrate, neglect of the responsibility or the work responsibility or your family responsibility, loss of appetite. Okay, khana nahi hota hai, bhook nahi aata hai, you don't get the food. Memory loss, you forget everything very fast. You get irritated very fast. You always have this hopelessness. You're around you don't see things in color. You think in gray, dull, black and white. You don't have the hope. Nameless fears. This is we call this phobia. If you really look at the book of phobia, there are thousands of phobia around. So nameless fears that you have: claustrophobia, phobia of animals, phobia of this, phobia of persons, phobia of relatives. There's so many different type of phobia that you get. Lack of sexual desire is another thing. It's a lack of self-esteem, very important thing. A person who doesn't have the self-esteem, okay, he is a goner, he's a vegetable, he's not a human being, people say. And of course, physical stresses of many types associated with that. As for the American Psychiatric Association, in case you have simultaneous expression of any three or more of this, you must consult a counselor or a psychologist. That's what they say. That out of this 10 that you have, okay, in case 3 or 4, you feel that expression of that comes very periodically faster to you or frequently to you, you must definitely consult a counselor. And one more thing I would like to say. Some of you may be bosses, some of you may have a lot of subordinates, some of you may have a lot of peers around you, and in the work atmosphere that you are in, you can save a lot of people in case you understand this. Okay, you may have your subordinates, you may have your peers and colleagues. Okay, you may see them not khana nahi khata hai, not eating, always very irritated, always feeling always very phobiaic, and they don't have a self-esteem. If you come across these people, please help them by taking them to a counselor. Or if you are good at that, counsel them, take them out of their fears, take them out of their phobia, find out what is hurting them. So this actually is a good indicator to you to understand whether any of your colleagues, subordinate, peers, etc. definitely do undergo this, and if it is so, you could help. So it is not only for you, it is not only for your family, it is also for your colleagues, your peers, and your subordinates in your organization. You can always watch them and see how they are actually. Okay, going forward, emotional intelligence is, or EQ, is a combination of 3 things. We call it as emotional competency, emotional maturity, and emotional sensitivity. Competency is your ability to tactfully respond to stimuli. Okay, having self-esteem, optimism, and ability to tact. That means you have the tact in you to understand, or you have understood your limitations, or you have understood your emotions, and you're able to manage that. So that is your competency to manage. The second thing is called maturity. It is actually about your maturity to understand. You're evaluating the emotion of yours and others, okay, and identifying. You're matured enough to understand the feelings of yours and others, and you're also adaptable and flexible. That is called emotional maturity. And the third one is called emotional sensitivity. It is understanding the threshold of emotion in others. I'll just give an example. You're in a group, you're talking to a person, and you understand one person among that, he gets angry so fast, he retorts very fast. So if he's part of the group, if you are, say, emotionally sensitive, you will not actually bring him out to become more emotional by irritating him. So that means you are emotionally sensitive to understand this person has this challenge, so you need to handle him correctly. Okay, so it's a combination of competency, maturity, and sensitivity. So emotional intelligence is a combination of emotional competency, that is the ability that you have to tactfully manage, your emotional maturity to understand and see this in people, and sensitivity is to see the emotions in others, the ability to manage and maintaining harmony. And that is what the combination of this thing is. Now, what you see here is about yourself and others. See, I have told you, intrapersonal and interpersonal. Intra is within you. So the self is that the second column that you see is the self. The last column that you see is the others. Okay. One is the self-awareness, the other is the social awareness. Social awareness is empathy. Self-awareness is confidence. Okay. Second is called managing. If you're aware, you can manage. We always say in management, you measure. If you measure, you know what it is. Then you can actually, then you can find a solution for that. Then you can manage it. So before managing, you should measure. So you should be aware that what is your self challenges, what is the challenges in others, and what are the emotions that you have. So one is self-awareness, social awareness, and the regulation, the management of that, managing yourself and managing relationship. And that is what you're seeing. I'm going a little faster. These slides are available. Maybe if you want, Joshi sir will actually share it for you later. Okay. Now, what does Peter Drucker say? He's a guru's guru, a man who died at the age of 95 at Sacramento in California. He is called the world's the father of modern management. Okay, and he says, I would no longer teach people how to be the boss or how to manage others. I would ask people to become self-aware and manage themselves. Beautifully said. If you're aware of yourself, if you can manage yourself. Okay, so I would rather say, just as an extension to what Peter Drucker had said, between these two intelligences of interpersonal and intrapersonal, intrapersonal is the key intelligence that one must have. That you understand yourself, you understand others. You measure yourself, you can measure others. You behave yourself, you can make others behave. So you self-aware people who manage themselves, actually others will, your surrounding, your environment will automatically get managed. It is only when you infringe upon them or you interpersonally go and try to intervene, try to interfere, and without knowing what you're doing, that is when situations actually boil up and many, many bad situations happen. Very nicely said by Peter Drucker. Now, so an emotionally intelligent person is self-aware, motivated, perceives others accurately, okay, manages emotions well. This is something that you need to really understand, See, what we see, say, typically we say, in COVID, ultimately a person dies of pneumonia. Also, you have seen HIV, human immunovirus. People do not die of HIV, they die of diseases, underlying diseases that come. So lots of us may have these underlying diseases. What actually happens is, I would let little digress and say, we have this endocrine juices in our body. Also in our brain. In our brain, we have dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, all those things. The things are there. Say similarly, we have this testosterone. We have all adrenaline, etc. These are all called endocrinological juices. And these regulates our body functions. The correct flow of that results in a healthy body. The incorrect flow of that results in a very unhealthy body. Okay. Now, this also includes those juices which are extremely concentrated hydrochloric acid equivalents, which are used inside the stomach to digest your food that goes inside. What happens in your stomach? The food is not there, but the concentrated hydrochloric acid flows inside. What happens? It creates holes in your stomach. So it initially starts as a ulcer, and later it could be a cancer. So what I'm saying is, if you're not healthy, if the emotions, if you're very emotional, particularly negatively oriented, these juices will flow out at uneven times and hours, and that can create, this flow of these juices can create or develop your lesser immunity or your higher immunity can come down. So, and that is when your underlying problems, you may have a BP problem, you may have a diabetes problem, you may have an ulcer problem, you may have an angina pectoris problem. All these things can come up, can get manifested in a larger way if we are not healthy. I'll come to that in the end also as to how do we manage this. And things positive, authentic, knowledge of task and psychology. He also goes flexible and able to go, always purposeful in the thinking and action. The right intelligence definition had said that. These are the people who have a fairly good work-life balance. They understand both separately, and at the same time they are able to manage it well. Good social skills, managing things well. Okay, like our Dr. Joshi, I have always seen he has excellent social skills actually. So he manages very well this whole bunch of National Council members who are of different temperaments and different tempers actually. So Joshi sir, sorry, I just took you on the go. Okay, excellent social skills. Also always concerned for the personal development. You should be able to. Progress is a symbol of life. Progress happens when you personally develop yourself. If you are not personally developing, because of the negative emotions that you keep and you express, if you are not able to develop personally, then you have a challenge in life. Okay. Going forward, these are the research output. I'll just skip it through or go through faster. It's Joshi Saab had said it. It is a Pennsylvania State University study on 192 subordinates, managers, and superiors. He says your EQ is 2 times as important as your IQ or cognitive abilities. It says transformational leaders who are self-aware possess high levels of self-confidence and self-efficacy and provide orientation for the followers. It says self-awareness enables leaders to understand the emotional implication and their own feelings and thoughts. Okay. It says managers who maintain accurate self-awareness appear more effective to their subordinates and subordinates. So accepting your emotion itself can make you confident enough to manage a very good group. I mean, the group of people below you, above you, as well as at par with you. And EA being the foundation of other aspects of leadership, with Joshi Saab, etc. So I'm not going to go into that detail. And I'm also sure I'm talking to a very, very learned audience, and I'm also going a little faster. Okay. Almost 90% of the success in leadership is attributable to EQ. Here I have a question actually. I think lots of you must go back to your school time. Some of you must have sat in the front benches. Some of you must have sat in the back benches. It's called, the front bench guy is called the teacher's pet, and the backbench guy is called the backbench bully. Okay, and there is a middle people as well who can go that way and this way, that side and this way. See now, if you really see, as these people longitudinally, if you really look at them, if you go back to your 10th class, 9th class and 10th class, you see the teacher's pet, and you also see the guys in the back and the middle. And then now you look at those big time industrialists and company people who are running larger industries, larger companies, enterprises, organizations, leadership, political leaders, etc. You'll see, do you see them from the front bench, or do you see them from the back bench, or do you see them from the middle bench? I don't want to answer, but I'm very sure you will know. So what I'm saying is, the ability is not your IQ. If you want to manage people, manage crowd, manage country, manage state, manage company, manage group, etc. That ability is EQ. And here the research says 90% of success in leadership is attributable to EQ. Okay. These are the sequence of low EQ. So many of the anger to stress, all of them are mentioned in there. And also I will give you the sequence of higher issue: empathy, positivity, satisfaction, appreciation, friendship, self-control, and the like it goes. Okay. I'm not going to take time on this because these are all self-decipherable by you, so that I'm skipping it and going to the next one. Now, this is the second part of my presentation. I would like to do it as fast because I know that we started by about 5:30, 6:30, 7, it should be over. It's about 6:50. So I will take about 10 more minutes, 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll come to the questions. Now, first thing, gentlemen and ladies who are listening to my presentation, is the first part of how you can actually manage emotions better. Okay. Now, that is very important even now. Particularly, a lot of you are logged in. Okay. So you will think that, kya hai? I will just roll around. I'll be in my shorts and in my t-shirts. Nahana nahi hai, kapda nahi pehna hai, not wear a good clothes. Okay. I will sleep around. I'll see movie around. And the process, I'll also build up my emotions, and I'll see what is happening. What is this COVID? Is it going to kill? And you're generally, and secondly, let me also tell you this: the default bhava. I use a Sanskrit word called bhava, BHAVA, or the default disposition of you is not positivity. The default disposition of a human being is either neutral or negative. 40 to 45% by default a person is negative. I'll tell you an example. I'll give an example. See, you spend 10 minutes yourself without speaking to anybody, sit in a chair or you'll start brooding. You'll start becoming very serious. Then you'll start finding fault with so many things around us, including the COVID. Then by the time you'll become negative, your anger will start coming. You may think that, why did China do this? Or you may think that, why should it happen in this way? Why did the Delhi incident happen? So all these things will make you angry. And the moment it makes you angry, your adrenaline flows. You know, there is this mental endocrine juice, you know, which is called serotonin. Serotonin flows. Serotonin is the juice, actually the thing which controls your depression and anger, your happiness and depression. And if the serotonin doesn't flow or flow in abundance, this all creates challenging situations for you. So by default disposition or default original bhava of an individual is not positivity. So therefore, if you want to be positive and if you want to dwell these COVID times, tough times, you need to do your exercises. I know that you can go out of your home, but I think you can walk inside your house, you can climb up the stairs, you can go up and down, you can do yoga, you can do pranayama, you can do meditation, you can do a little bit of jogging, you can do a little bit of thread this thing. All this, so what I'm only saying is that take care of your body. It is always said, a healthy body, even COVID, what is the definition of COVID? If you're having a healthy body, COVID will come and visit and go away. If you have an unhealthy body, COVID will take you and go away. So it is very important to take care of your body. Do your exercises, do your walking. If you're into meditation, do meditate. If you do prayers, do prayers. Okay, if you do yoga, please do yoga. See that you take care of your body, because in a healthy body, unhealthy or negative things will not enter. So negativity will not happen. Body will be healthy. Even germs, bacteria and viruses cannot do anything onto the body. So one way to improve your emotional quotient is to keep your body very healthy. Second part of it is, okay, search for feeling in your body, not in your head. There's a Chinese proverb which says, allow the birds of sorrow to fly above your head. Do not allow them to make a nest on your hair. That's what it says. It's a Chinese proverb. It says, allow the birds of sorrow, allow the negative emotion to fly about you, fly around you, no problem. But do not take it to the head. Very important that we don't take our negative emotion, particularly rage, frustration, anger, and depressions into your body. See, depressed body creates suicidal tendency. Rage, a body in rage takes a chaku and laga dete, or it shoots, okay, or it kills. So if you really have to see, you don't take such negative emotion to your body. So what do you do? So you'll ask, what do you do? You do, see, if your body is healthy, and if you can take your emotions if your body is healthy, and if you can take your negative emotions to your body rather than your head, you're saving those negative moments of shooting and killing and all. How do you take it? I'll give an example. You people must have gone through the giant wheel, you know, the giant wheel. As the giant wheel comes down, you have in your pit of your stomach, you have a dip in that, you get that feeling. Or you sit in a swanky car in the rear seat, and it goes through a hump. You go up and down. You see your stomach. You know something comes and hits in your stomach. It hits a pit of your stomach. Now these feelings you will get when you get a telegram, say somebody is dead. Now if that is taken to the head, you're gone. You may fall down. You may start crying. But if that can be taken to the body, and your body is healthy enough to absorb that shock, your body is healthy enough to absorb the shock, nothing will happen to you. So first thing is, create a healthy body, do your exercises, do your prayers, do your meditations, and rightly, okay, do your thinking properly, okay, and consciously improve your positivity around you. The second thing is, if you get negative emotions, do not take them to the head, but take them to your body. If your body is healthy, these endocrine juices will not flow, or even if flow, the body can take care of that so that you can manage that efficiently. So that's the second part. The third part is, build emotional muscle power. You know, it says build your emotional muscle power by taking time to focus upon the emotional experience. Psychologists and our counselors say that it is called a inside-oriented therapy. They call it as inside-oriented therapy. Now, what do? It's like, you know, suppose let's say you have a phobia of flying. I had actually seen this in a case where a lady who got married, her husband was in Merchant Navy. He went away to Sydney and asked her to fly into Sydney. And the lady is mortally afraid of flying. So then her parents and folks took her to a counselor, a good friend of mine, and she underwent some sitting with him. So what did he do? He did nothing. But every day she comes and tells her, okay, now after your initial little bit of pleasantry exercise, etc., you tell them that, okay, now let us imagine that you are at the airport. So she'll start cringing. So he said, okay, let's stop at that. After some time, start again. So what I'm saying is, you become a better swimmer by being more on the water, by drinking more water. Similarly, you can build up your emotional muscle power by taking yourself through the emotions. Once you take yourself through the emotions of anger, once you take yourself through emotions of rage, once you take yourself through emotions of depressions, etc., you can get rid of that. How do you get rid? By mastering that. Okay. There is a Salman Khan advertisement I used to see. Dar ke aage kya hai? That is an advertisement. And in the end it says, Dar ke aage jeet hai. So what is beyond fear? Beyond fear is victory. You manage it, you go through that, you make your body and mind, okay, orient towards that, you build up their emotional muscle power, and by building up that emotional muscle power, you actually master it, and you become a master of that emotion, you master that emotion. This is quite possible. I can definitely tell you that lots of people have come out. I will give you an example of mine, but I don't have the time. I would have really taken a good experience. I had some emotional trouble when I was in the business. It was not doing well. I had difficulty in taking bath. I used to go to the bathroom. I couldn't take bath. So I went to a counselor, and he said, okay, then eventually in my mind, I went through the process of going and getting into the bathroom and taking bath. And then I was able to get rid of that. So you master your emotions and thereby manage your emotion or control your emotion. Okay. Then, very important, be accepting all that you feel. Very, very important. Be accepting all that you feel. Okay. What it says? You have an anger? Yes, I have an anger. So what do? First of all, I must know that I have an anger. If I have an anger, I can manage it. But if I'm denying and said I don't get angry, I can manage it. So any emotions that you get, accept your emotions. Okay, it may be anger, it may be happiness, it may be sadness, it may be frustration, it may be jealousy. So accept your emotions. Accepting your emotion gives you the confidence of dealing with that emotions. Okay. Now, for example, I have a friend who gets angry very fast. So in every group he will get into fight because ek bol diya, dusra bol diya, then tisra he said something and he get into physical fight or if it's a verbal fight. And people started avoiding him and he started getting humiliated. So then he came to me. I said, boss, this is difficult. So they may not accept you. So he said, what do? I said, okay, in case you're in a group and if somebody tells you something or you hear something wherein you are getting your blood started boiling or your emotions started purging, I said, you just walk away. Don't be part of the group. Simple thing. But how did you do that? How did you move away? You moved away only because you accepted that I will get angry and I should not be here. And by moving away, you are actually avoiding a situation of fighting the people. And by moving away, you are retaining your social fabric, by retaining your friendship circle. So accept all that feel. Once you accept it, you can manage it. Okay, going forward, open your heart to others. Listen to people. Okay, listen, open your heart to others. Okay, see, lots of us have this problem. We have this ego. Ego is something, it is nothing but a self-esteem growing up and growing up. So, boss ban gaya, niche wale log saab kehne laga, started calling you sir, started standing up when you walked in. So you said, I am a big man. This company will not run without me. This country will not run without me. This office will not run without me. So, chad jate hai na, it actually goes up. Okay. And then what happens? You become a lonely guy. It is always said a CEO's position is a lonely position. A head's position is a lonely position. And into that, if you add your ego, which is nothing but your self-esteem went upwards, what will happen? You will not have people to talk to. Even you will not want to talk to your wife. You will not want to talk to your children. You become very serious. And you suppress all this emotion, which manifests later in the form of your physical abnormalities and migraines and BPs and things like that. So please, find out friends. Open your heart to others. Find out friends. I'm very sure we may have thousands of friends. In fact, we are in a social media age. We have so many friends, but we are all alone ourselves. That also happens. But have some good bosom pals with whom you can. It may be your spouse, it may be your friend, it may be your brother, it may be your jobia, whatever. So, but you should be able to talk. When you talk, when you're able to open your heart, you're actually able to get lots of emotion wither away or it move away. Next is take action. Do things that are meaningful and relevant. This is very important. Okay. You see, the amount of satisfaction, the amount of happiness, the amount of delight that you get by doing those things that is meaningful to you, that is relevant to you and your society, okay, that is giving you the confidence, that is giving you the happiness, okay. And when you do that, so what is it that you're doing? You are actually leaving those indelible mark on the sands of time. You are actually enjoying yourself. You're actually actualizing yourself. When you do things meaningful, you're actually actualizing. There's a wonderful book called Ikigai. I'm sure most of you must have read. If otherwise, you must read Ikigai. Okay, it's all about your reason to exist. It's also in French called as raison d'être. Okay, it's a reason for existence, or your reason for your purpose of your existence actually. So take those actions, do those actions, which is purposeful, which is meaningful, which is relevant, which gives you the happiness, which gives you the delight, which gives you that feeling that I am leaving indelible mark on the sands of time, which also gives you that actualization, which is the happiness. Very, very critical on here. Okay. Yes, lots of us don't do it. Even somebody comes, subordinate comes and says, Saab, I say, he says, Jan down, malum hai. Okay, you don't let people to talk to you. If you don't people to talk to you, how can you come to know and how can you understand their side of the story? And this is where empathy plays a role. These three words we should be able to understand very clearly. One is called apathy, that is absolute hatred. There is this side is empathy, that is thinking for others or we finding out others' viewpoint. And in between there is a sympathy, which could be negative or which could be positive. But predominantly people use sympathy for negative reasons. You know, they come and tell you, Sir, I say, oh yeah, please be sympathetic to me, so that help me out. You know, so sympathy is also used very cunningly by people. But apathy on the extreme side is hatred. Empathy on the other side is understanding. So if you're able to listen to people with the empathy that is required for a situation, you know, you're creating a much better world. Okay, the empathy is thinking from his viewpoint. You know, हम कहते हैं ना उसके जूते में खड़े होके बात करना और understand his perspective. So listen to people with empathy. First of all, one, listen. Second, listen with empathy. You will create a lot of friends. You will create a lot of admirers, and you'll also gain a lot of respect within your organization, home, and society. Going forward, lovely. This is what I always tell to people. You know, please understand, my dear friends, the whole world, the planet, the solar system, the planet, every movable, immovable thing in the world has been created for you. Do you understand? Everything in the world is created for you. Your mother had been created for you. Your father had been created for you. Your car has been created for you. Your job has been created for you. Okay, your neighbor had been created for you. Everything in the world, whether it is living or unliving, whether it is movable or charachar, okay, anything in the world, they are there because they have a job to do for you. So if you look at life like that, everything around me, okay, is for me. It helps me in my existence. Then you will develop a sense of gratitude. People with the sense of gratitude, it's a highest level of positive emotion, sense of gratitude. Okay, I seldom see this in people, particularly in the materialistic world. I very, very seldom see this sense of gratitude. An attitude of gratitude takes you to very, very high altitude, friends. So please create an attitude of gratitude. Everything in the world is actually created for you, my dear friends. Okay. Going forward, change, very difficult. You know, we are all, we always wanted to stay in our own cocoons, created by us. We don't want anything to change. We want our bed to be there. We want our air conditioner to be there. We want our car to be there. We want everything to be there around us. We don't want anything to change. Okay. And when things doesn't change, okay, but what's happening now? Things happen in microseconds and nanoseconds. In fact, Tom Peters, a very excellent, who wrote the In Search of Excellence book, he says, this century is a century of nanoseconds, 10 to the power minus 9 seconds. So that is the speed at which things happen. So every one of us says, I'll be overstating this statement if I say change is the only constant, because everybody says that. So when change is the only constant, if you want to stay in your cocoon and don't want to change, the problem. See, I think, you know, if you really change, you know, with relation to change, successful people are those who anticipate the change and prepare themselves to change along with the change. Second type of people who change with the change are those people who will barely survive. And there are a bunch of people who don't want to change. You know, I always remember this Sholay movie, you know, where Asrani had actually acted as a jailer, in which he says, अंग्रेजों के जमाने की जेलर है, हम नहीं सुधरेंगे. I am the jailer of English period, British period. I have learned it from them, and I will not change. If you don't change, you will not grow. Change will not go. चेतना चाहिए, शरीर में चाहिए, अपने life में चाहिए. So wherever there is chetana, wherever there is change, and change is the opportunity to grow, consider that. So, and look for change and prepare yourself for the change, and you will see your emotions are much balanced when you do that actually. Okay. This is the last one as far as how to improve your EQ. Okay. That it says, take a dose of humor with you. It should not be artificial humor, my dear friends. It should be the humor that should come automatically to you. I always tell this, one, laughter and smile. Smile is a very contagious thing. Okay, you smile at somebody, they smile back at you, isn't it? You create a better world by just a smile. And the second part of it is the laughter. If you can make somebody laugh, maybe you're doing an act, or maybe you're delivering a thought, or maybe you're delivering a joke, or maybe you're acting it out, and the other that goes with you with the humor, then the feeling, you become together. The humor bonds. The bonding happens because of humor. And I want to say it in the last, that is, the highest of ability of a human being, the highest of ability of a human being is the ability to laugh at himself. Ability to laugh at himself. That also is because he creates a humor for himself to laugh at himself. The moment you are able to laugh at himself, you find everything in the world to be manageable. Everybody in the world look at you with such respect and such awe and such affection. So that is sense of humor. So I had actually said, just to go back on this quickly saying, be healthy, take care of your body, do your exercises properly. Okay, see that your healthy body. Okay, don't take feelings to your head. Try to take feelings to your body. Okay, build up emotional muscle power so that by going through the emotions that you fear, okay, accept all your negative emotions so that you are confident that you have these emotions that you can manage. Okay, talk to people, talk to people, get friends so that it makes your mind and your emotions, your body and mind, halka ho jata hai. It suits you out actually. And take action that are meaningful and relevant in life. And going forward, okay, listen with your empathy. Very, very critical element. Empathy is a very, very critical element. Create an attitude of gratitude, which will take you to a very higher altitude, and use change as an opportunity to grow. That your change, very, very critical. Please understand. Okay, and the last one. Okay, the most successful, the most emotionally balanced person is a person who has the ability to laugh at himself. And that is where things are. So I'll just take, how does EQ or emotional intelligence help you out? In profession, it reduces your stress, it improves your communication, and enhances your decision making. And it positively impacts your ability to sustain mental and physical health actually. Helps your aging gracefully, gives you a healthy long life. All of us want to live long. In fact, as per the latest statistics of US, up to 65, you are considered to be a younger one. You're young, okay? So you are 65, you're young, not old. So aging gracefully. Empowers meaningful relationship, enable you to attract others. Loving families, and you can raise children with a very high EQ. It gives you the ability to express your feeling, enables you to assume the responsibility of feeling. This is what it was there in the invite that Joshi Sahab had sent you. Assuming the responsibility. When you accept your feeling and assume the responsibility of your feeling, you will behave properly. You will have a very, very balanced emotion within you. And don't get threatened by criticism, and allows you to learn, helps you to address your fears with reason. And this is something that when you have a phobia, it just doesn't go away, my dear friends. You need help. Sometimes you need outside help. But please do not, see, I just want to say this in my last slide, saying that, when you have a heart problem, you go to a cardiologist. When you have a bone problem, you go to an orthopedician. When you have an eye problem, you go to ophthalmologist. You have no problem. But when you have an emotional problem, you refuse to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist because you feel that sari dunya aapko pagal kahenge. They will call you madcap. So you want to avoid being called as a madcap, but you suppress all those emotions in your body, which manifest later. You get irritated, you get fatigued, you have work-life problem, and then you are a vegetable and you leave the world earlier. So it is on you to feel. If you are having these feelings coming to you, you should be responsible for your feeling. At the same time, when these feelings and phobias are becoming higher, See, I can tell you, every one of us individuals have one or the other phobia which really threatens us. And if you really want to overcome that, we have to go through that and see that it is avoided. Okay. And it gives you the empathy. The last slide, which gives you 2 words. These are the 2 words, very, very key element. This, I call them as the cornerstones of emotion management. The cornerstone of emotion management, optimism. I said this earlier, I am repeating it. Your original, by default disposition is not optimism. By default, the disposition of a human being is not positivity. Okay, it could be negative or it could be neutral. So you have to doubly try to see that you're positive. Positivity is a very, very important thing to basically get things done, manage people, deal with environment, everything. And optimism. You should have the sense of, okay, now COVID times must give you that optimism that we will overcome. This too shall pass. Okay, this is something that is threatening us, but we will be healthy, and we will be mentally and physically healthy. We will see that we manage it. And I had recently seen a very wonderful video by Chris Cuomo, who is a younger brother of Andrew Cuomo, who is a governor of New York. Okay, and Chris Cuomo, in spite of being the governor of New York, the New York governor's younger brother caught COVID. So he was in the basement of his house for close to about 10 days. So he didn't go to the hospital. The doctor was telling you take Talin and you live there. And he was having all the problem manifested. And the doctor said, the videos are around. You can go to YouTube and see it. He said, you know, you have to fight it. You have to fight it. Don't succumb to it. And he said, there were so many difficulties that I underwent, but I breathed. It was difficult. I just lifted off my torso. I breathed. I filled my body with oxygen. I filled my body with air, and I had overcome. So we need to overcome. This too shall pass. That is the optimism that we have. I leave it for questions. Thank you very much for this opportunity, Joshi sir. Thank you very much for the opportunity, Dr. Natraj Ray. And I think I have about 190 delegates as part of this. I have not seen anybody's face, but maybe there are some of you whom I know, most of you whom I don't know. But I hope I have done justice to this last one hour, or roughly about an hour and 10 minutes. And I will take questions now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Nair. Thank you, Mr. Nair, for extremely absorbing session. And I hope everyone enjoyed it so much. When we started this session, there were 208 participants. And right now we have 190, so only 18 have left. It shows the level of engagement of this session. I'm really thankful to you for sharing your views in such a short time. And somehow there is some disturbance here, the light has gone. But even though I'm carrying with the session, before we continue our question answer session, I would like to thank some of those who have joined in this. I have to thank Ruma Gomes, Salil Chatterjee, Dr. Rajeshwari, Ajay Agrawal, Anita Chauhan from Kota, Anup Kumar from Dehradun, Mr. Panda, Chitranathji from Chennai, Dr. Narendran from Udaipur, Mr. Vijay Phate from Nagpur, Durgesh Bhatt from Bombay, Dr. Gangadharan from Hyderabad, Ipsita Ghatak from Kolkata, Gautami from Kolkata, Jaiprakash from Dehradun.
Hello.
हाँ बोलिए sir.
Hello.
So I'm just taking 1 minute. Hello, hello. And Neelam Panchal from Ahmedabad, Ramkesh Meena, Seema Sinha, and Malini, and some of the staff who have joined from the national office. And I'll just now invite the questions. There are 23 questions in all. And to start with, the first question which I received from Pramod Sharma is how emotional intelligence help in developing the leaders. This is a very interesting question.
We have said this actually. The research also I have shown it there. In fact, it says that emotional intelligence, which is nothing but the social intelligence, which if I decipher, says that your intrapersonal and your interpersonal intelligence, the ability to understand yourself and the ability to deal with with others. Okay, these two things. Okay, the research says that it is 90% for leadership. 90% is emotional intelligence, and rest is IQ, etc., is only 10%. But maybe it is a little exaggeration. I would rather say this, you know, a leader will have a balanced will be at the cross section of a balanced emotion. Your IQ and your EQ should be both good. If your IQ is good, you're considered to be a brilliant guy, you're an intelligent guy. If your EQ is good, you're looked at with respect and reverence. So you combine this, so your IQ and EQ should go together. Maybe the emotional aspect should be a little more than your IQ. I have seen in many number of cases, my dear friends. Okay, please forgive me for saying this because I may get the wrath of some of you. I had said this front bench teacher's pet and the backbench bully. And I was looking at all those front bench teachers pet of my school and my classes, that all of them retired as head of the departments actually. And I had been going and finding out the middle guys and the backbench guys. They are running organizations, they are running companies, they are political leaders, they're running states, they are running countries, etc. So now what is that they had? That they didn't have much of IQ. What that they had is that EQ, their ability to manage people, the ability to manage themselves. So I would rather say that majority should be EQ, not IQ, but IQ is as important. I will not take it 10%. I will say that it should be at least about 30 to 40%. Yes, sir.
Another question from Mr. Pramod Sharma is how emotional intelligence helps in developing the organization.
Great. You would see your organization in another way is where you spent close to see, if let's say you're 60 years old, you would have spent close to about 40 years in an organization, maybe organizations. Okay. But now and you would have spent close to 8 to 9 hours in that. That means 1/3 plus of your time daily, plus 40 years of your life you spend in the organization. And now, if that leadership that you create within the organization by yourself, if the leadership that is within the organization that you encourage within, both at subordinate level, peer level, and within the organization becomes a better place to work. See, it is not, what is leadership? Leadership is not creating followers. Leadership is creating and delivering those meaningful things to your followers actually. Okay. And in that case, if you build up an organization, the participants or members of the organization are happy, they're actualized, they find meaning in life. You create a purpose in them. That is where the leadership is. So emotional intelligence actually definitely help you in creating a purpose in the people who are around you, subordinate, at your level, at your above level. Thank you.
Yeah, Suhas is asking how to overcome negativity with the help of emotional management. Overcoming negativity.
Yeah, right. So I think if you really feel that if you feel that you have a lot of rage happening, anger happening, jealousy happening, or you get depressed, and that sort of a thing come into you faster. And how do you want to get out of it? Is first of all accept it. If you have a fever and you say that I don't have a fever, and maybe you continue with that, 9th day you will get rid of the country or the world on pneumonia or this thing. So, but otherwise, if you understand that I have a fever, you go to a doctor, you get treated, you're able to come out of this. So first of all, the thing is you should accept it. Okay, you should accept that I have this negative emotion. Once you accept it, you understand what sort of an emotion you have. Is it a phobia? Is it a depression? And depression are of two thoughts. Depression can have, sir, agar aapke brain mein dopamine ठीक से नहीं चलता है, or in your brain your serotonin is not running well, your oxytocin is not running well, if your endorphin doesn't run well, you can physically also become depressed. It is not that your thought wise or your action wise you have become depressed. The depth of this endocrine juices flowing correctly also can create. So a doctor can alone say that what is it. So you can have more dopamine or oxytocin, or all this can be prescribed with them. So it depends upon whether it is a phobia that you have or whether it is a feeling that you have. If it is a feeling that you have, then you need to go through the feeling. I would request you, whosoever had said this to me, in case you have this negative emotion, spend 20 minutes every day. Okay, come back from the office, maybe take a bath, wear loose clothes, find out a comfortable place. It could be a bedroom, it could be a puja room, bathroom, sorry, not bathroom, puja room or living room. Sit there, don't talk to anyone. Okay, you just unroll your day. Okay, or you just unroll that incident which has given you that level of a feeling. But don't look at it with judgment. Don't get agitated. Don't get angry. Just control your anger. How do you control your anger? Listen to your breath. You control your anger by listening to your breath. Every time you breathe in and breathe out, listen to your breath. Don't let these emotions get into your brain. At the moment thought comes, come back to your breath. Okay, look at it and try to unroll that event that went by you in your mind without judgment by simply looking at the breath. And the moment you become negative or the feeling goes up, bring you back to your breath. Start concentrating on the breath. And physically, if you're able to do it about 20, 21 days, you can actually master it. Yes, sir.
Sheshavardhan Kuppali is asking, there is something called SBI, situational behavioral impact.
Okay.
Deal with negative emotions. Can you throw some light on it? SBI.
Yeah, this is what I was telling. See, if you really look at it, some people have this challenge, or maybe I will call competence ability. No, I will call challenge rather, to get emotional faster, not negative or either negative or positive. Some people, like it comes, they become very happy very fast. Some people become very ragey, very frustrated very fast. Okay. Now both are bad. So that is, some level of a balance you're not able to maintain. And that's why you go either on a positive side high or on the negative side high. So the situational case is where, a situation happened and suddenly the anger emanated or the most high level of happiness emanated. Both create an abnormal situation, particularly if you're in a social fabric, if you're among friends, if you're among group, etc. It's something like this, there are 5 people listening. Somebody said a joke and one guy started laughing like bad, like the millennials call it as LOL, all rolling around, that sort of a thing. And you'll see that become a little abnormal. So if the situational thing can be managed, you should be able to look at it in a balanced manner. That's what it is. Yes.
Ayan Banerjee is asking, is being angry necessarily inappropriate behavior? What about a situation when one sees injustice happening and choose to stay calm about it?
Sir, great man, great question. I must definitely applaud you for the question because, see, कहने में चीज एक होता है, करने में चीज दूसरा होता है. It is easy to say, easy to preach, but very, very difficult to practice. Okay. So he had said, if you're really getting angry, okay, how do you manage? Sir, accept it first. If you have that level, if you have the ability to get angry fast, if you have the ability to become rage fast, if you're able to accept it, then you can situationally start doing it. You think of it, the confidence comes in that I get angry fast. So that itself gives you the confidence. Now, when I get angry fast, what gives you the anger? So these are the things that can give me the anger. So if that situation you should avoid, or by any chance, if you happen to be in that situation and you underwent that anger, move away from the situation as fast as possible. That is what you can do.
Interesting question from Mr. Brahma Bhatt. How to manage emotions of others?
Sir, the same way as you accept yourself, okay, start accepting others. And accepting others is what? Empathy. I have used 2 words, I had used positivity, optimism, and empathy. Empathy is what the feeling that gives you to accept others. The moment you're able to accept others using that empathy, okay, you have really crossed the bridge. It's difficult, but it must be practiced. It is possible. Yes.
Interesting question from Mr. Vikrant Pawar. Sometimes at work, we have to control our anger and it explodes on our loved ones when we come back home.
Never do it. Never do it. Actually, while I'm saying this, my wife is sitting beside me and watching. So I am not fully qualified to answer this in the way it should be answered thoroughly. But at the same time, I must tell you this. See, this is a problem with so many people. Particularly, let me tell you, the UN report, which has come out day before yesterday, is that the domestic violence had increased a lot because of COVID situation. Most of you must have been reading. So what's happening? The husband is at home and he gets angry, he gets irritated. So they start fighting each other. So maybe the aftermath of COVID will be very welcome situation for the lawyers and advocates. They may be benefited out of the aftermath of this thing. So it happens. But the fact is, you must understand. See, you are yourself. First is you. Second is your family. Third is your society. Okay. Now, if you alone, how much will you live? Which are all the other props that is required for you to become an actualized person? You will realize that the people around you, your house, your spouse, your children, your mother, your father, they play a very significant role in you getting actualized. So with those people, if you're going to fight, if that thought actually comes into you, you'll start actually behaving better. The managing emotion or emotional management or EQ plays a very major role in managing your home as well. Okay. And please, second thing is, do not bring your problem from office home. Neither do take your problem of home to the office. Second thing, if it is your spouse, I have this is what when I married my wife, who was told, advised by my mother, by her mother, said that बेटी जो भी होता है शाम को सो जाने के पहले you should patch it up. Okay, so this we religiously we are following, and to the extent possible. So there are fights, but we are patch it up so we sleep well. That's what you should also practice.
So Mr. Benita has asked, how do you differentiate between ego and self-respect?
Yeah, the Lakshman Rekha is very, 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 very thin, and it is easy to cross the line from self-esteem to ego. Okay, now self-esteem is very, very critical. You know, Atma Bhiman. Okay, you should have that, without which you are a vegetable. If see, self-esteem is what tells you what you are. You understand yourself, and your understanding of yourself is your self-esteem. I can do this, I cannot do this. I am capable of this, I am not capable of this. I have these competencies, I do not have these competencies. This I will use positively, I will grow up, I will progress, using which your self-esteem. Now, but what happens is, around you, the ecosystem, Avas Vyavastha kehta hai, the ecosystem around you, okay, there are people who try to apple polish you, there are people who want to fight you, there are people who want to take advantage of you. So everybody who is around you may have one or the other agenda. So if you fall prey to the agenda, okay, so what happens, typically you are two friends joined up, let's say two friends joined up together an organization, you got promotion first, he didn't get. Okay, now the other person calls you sir. Till yesterday he called you by your first name. Okay, no, but he had been promoted, so he calls you sir. So you think that, oh yeah, main usse bhi upar badh gaya, I also grown better than him, faster than him, so he's calling me sir. So you just get some sort of a false pride. Self-esteem is not false pride. Self-esteem is your understanding about yourself. Self-esteem is what you have completely done and studied about yourself. False pride is what actually brings in your ego. And the line that divides the false pride and the self-esteem is very thin. So you always watch out whether you're going into that. Okay, try to be, the only answer I can give you, be yourself. Try to be yourself with all your negatives, with all your positives. Be yourself.
Another question, Lakshita Malara. Why is it difficult to deal with people who are good in balancing and managing their emotions? Why sometimes they are taken as granted by their seniors or immediate managers?
Yeah, this is a reflection of the modern times. This is a reflection of the materialistic world. This is the reflection of a world which believes in gratification sooner than later. This is the reflectance of people's greed. All this actually plays a major part in this situation. Being tell me the question again, sir. I just lost track a little bit. Please tell me the question, Joshi sir.
Why is it difficult to deal?
Yeah,
with
right. So
who
all
are
this,
good in good in managing emotions.
Right. So
they are
people
taken for granted. In fact.
Right. People take you for granted, and you see this at home. You take your mother for granted. She loves you. She lives for you. You take your father for granted. He wants you to become the president of the country or the chief executive of the company. So you take him for granted. You take your children for granted. So because this is a problem. Because familiarity breeds contempt. So at times maybe it is. See, I have always told this to people. If you feel that you are ignored, if you feel that you did not get your due, you must face your boss and you must express it. But while expressing it, please do not use negative emotions there. You can very easily go in front of him and tell him very even keel. Tell them, sir, I have done these things for the organization. These are the situations that I have managed. These are the performance that I have done. These are the progresses that I have made for them. But I feel that I have been short-circuited as far as promotion is concerned or as far as increment is concerned. And I feel hurt. So now this is forcing me to look at alternatives. I leave it to you for your decide. But if you're able to tell this to your boss, okay, saying that you're placing the fact without emotion, very important, without emotion. If you're able to place it, I'm sure 90% of the time people do understand. But the fact is, the world is an instant gratifying world where everybody tries to show off and people who are showing balanced emotions are left behind or taken for granted. I agree with you.
The time is less, so I'm taking two last questions.
Yes, sir.
How can I bring cohesiveness in a team where a group of people are egoistic, angry, and most important, they do not accept they are having these negative emotions.
Sir, if this is already happened and the situation is beyond control, I have no answers. But I can tell you proactively how to do it. When you are forming a team and you see that there are people who get who get emotionally, whose emotional outbursts can happen faster. While you're forming the team, if you're able to emotionally manage, so today, if you really look at it, most organization has these questionnaires that they want you to fill up. Earlier, when you want to go for interviews and things like that, they always looked at your IQ ability. But today, organizations also looks at your EQ ability. And not only at the time of joining the organization, but also from time to time for your promotions and appraisals, they always wanted to fill up. Secondly, you also undergo 360-degree evaluation by your peers and colleagues and superiors and all. So there will be some comment somewhere. So while looking at you for the next level, etc., your HR department or your establishment will know what are all the negatives. And if those people you are bringing to your group, if you're able to understand at the beginning itself, if you set these rules very clearly, and if you give them that level of a motivation, and you be part of that leadership, you can manage it. But doing it, trying to manage a bunch of people already exceeded the limit, it is very difficult. The only way is you disperse it, restart all over again.
The last question, empathy is preached but not practiced. What's your opinion to the walk the talk?
See, I cannot speak for a lot of people in the world. I can only tell you all that empathy is something that actually makes the world a better place to live, because you're trying to see things from the perspective of the other or the others. Okay, so that gives you a right understanding of the situation, and if you understand the situation, you deal with the situation effectively. So empathy is the right thing to happen in relationship, in organizations, and everywhere. But empathy is taken for people don't walk the talk. How do I speak for them? All I can tell them, I try to, because when I teach emotion management, if I don't actually walk the talk on empathy, then there is no point, So therefore, in my case, I try to actually walk the talk. Now, my request is, if you understood this, and if you feel that you can create a better world yourself, try to be empathetic. While you start, seeing you, somebody else will start. Your colleague will start, 1, 2, 3, 4 will start. That's how we'll slowly, organically create a positive culture in our organization. But I agree with you, empathy is more preached than practiced. This is an instant gratification world, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thanks a lot. In fact, I wish to thank everyone of you who has attended this webinar so attentively and shown their interest by asking so many questions. We are grateful to all of you. Thank all of you. And in fact, this webinar will be uploaded in YouTube, and we will be sending the link to you shortly, so that those of you who have missed the parts of it can join. Hello, and I request Mr. Nataraj Ray to conclude this webinar.
Joshiji, I just talked to something. A wonderful session has done by our very senior member and mentor, Nair ji, and we learned from you 2, 3 things. One thing, we manage ourselves emotionally is of even greater importance in the business as usual, skill and talent. That we have learned from you, sir. We have emotionally, we manage ourselves. Number 1. Number 2, emotion cannot control is themselves emotionally. Life and business also you do the thing. That we have to learn today. The emotional we have maintained in my business sector, in our life sector, in also all spheres. So concluding, on Monday we have another program which will do our one of the very, very senior member, that is Mr.
Sunil Gupta.
Sunil Gupta from he is based in abroad, but he's in India now. He's our first diploma batch. So he is doing on Monday. After that, we will again doing Saturday probably, as per our details program. So every week nowadays in the lockdown period, we will enjoy ourselves, and we will do 2 programs webinar. And even then, I would request who are non-member now, because I have seen many people are not a member. The membership drive is going on. So you be a member, discounted member, and continue our support and others. Thank you very much, and thank you my team for Gurvinder ji, Joshi ji, and others for doing a wonderful support to us. And in future also we'll do this type of program. And good luck and best of luck. And
Thank you, Preston. Thank you, Director. Thank you.